Good morning, good morning.
Good morning.
Hello, everybody. Come on, where's our little group? There we go. Thank you for your patience as usual.
Soul to soul connection. That one hasn't even been around.
All right. Was it really that easy?
What?
I always do that. There we go. Okay.
Yay!
Beautiful. Okay, I'm just going to get us
That's
queued
some
up on
weird
here.
lighting.
Is it?
Well, over here for me, I guess.
Let's try adjusting.
There we go.
All right. Good morning, everybody. There we are. There's our beautiful faces. All right. Thanks for joining us today. Welcome to Braveheart Conversations. I am Jillian Aurora, and this is my lovely co-host, Marie Wallace.
Hi, guys.
And we are so thrilled to be here with you today. Thanks for joining us on Facebook. You can find us every Thursday morning in our group Braveheart Conversations. You can also find us on all the different podcasting platforms. So please feel free to check us out and check out our older podcasts and discussions. And
we have some good ones.
Yeah, we do. We've got like 77 now. That's pretty crazy. But yeah, check out the discussions, join in. Let us know if you have any questions or you would like to request a topic. We always like those. So today we are actually going to be talking about nourishing ourselves. This is March, and so we are talking about everything spring, but inside spring, right? So we see springtime happening all around us. It's starting to get sunnier, and oh my gosh, I'm so thankful for the sun. It really lifts my spirits. But I want to talk about the spring that's happening inside, because we're very, very in flow with the cycles happening around us, and we're really impacted by the seasons. So you are probably feeling some of that inner spring, and part of spring is nourishing whatever new life, right? Whatever new life is coming up. So last week we talked about choosing what to nourish, because that is sometimes difficult. There's a whole lot of things to choose, right? There's a whole lot of things to say yes to or no to. And this week I want to talk about specifically nourishing ourselves. I know that as women, especially, we can really struggle with choosing us over choosing everybody else. And we've been really deeply conditioned to choose everyone else and to put ourselves last. And so today we want to talk about that. We want to talk about the myth of having to put everybody else first, actually the myth that is love. And then we want to talk about the importance of choosing yourself and nourishing yourself. And how do you do that? How do you practice self-care? Is it just, a spa day or getting your nails done, or is it more than that? So there's a lot to unpack here in this topic, and I'm really excited to do that with you today. So Marie, I know that this is a big topic for you as well. So do you want to start us off and tell me what you think about nourishing yourself and why that's important?
Well, I have a jillion reasons. I think for me, why it's so important, it goes back to when I am happy. It goes to when mama's happy, everybody's happy. No, that's one of them. But just, I have this fullness and this nourishing spirit, and I have to have it in myself in order to nourish others. And so filling my own cup is always so important to help others. And that means accepting myself in all of myself, whether it's all my great traits, but even some of my weaknesses and things that are tough. Because if I can develop that compassion in myself, then I can develop or be more compassionate towards others. So it's really the main idea for me is that when I take the time to love myself, nourish myself, be compassionate with myself, then I have more to give. And then I'm able to say yes to more things, and I'm able to really give of the best of myself instead of the little tidbits, the bottom of the cup sediments.
Something that came up for me as you were talking is sometimes in our self-judgment, that's what we're trying to propel ourselves towards being healthy. And becoming healthy was never rooted in self-hatred.
Mm-hmm.
And I see a lot of women doing that, especially like in the fitness realm or the dieting realm. It's like, I hate my body so much, so I'm, going to improve it and get healthy at the gym. And I think, you can force that to work for a while, but that isn't actually propelling you towards health. Getting the perfect body isn't actually going to help you love yourself more, because you're still loving yourself based on the condition. I'll only love you if you're fit, if you are a certain weight, if you.
It's a projection from society too.
It is.
So my why's not strong enough.
And it's so sad to me that like you can show up to the gym because you love your body,
yes,
not because you hate it. And you can love your body regardless of what stage it's in. There's no judgment to saying, I feel better when, I am eating these foods. Dairy makes me feel bad, or I feel sluggish when I eat too many carbs, or whatever. Like, yes, I understand that. That's not judgment. That's just knowing the consequences of certain foods or lifestyles or triggers in your body. But when you are envisioning a certain perfection, if you have an ideal or perfection,
and then flagellate yourself when you're not there,
then that is really a lot of self-judgment and self-hatred. So catch yourself when, yes, living a healthy lifestyle, going to the gym or eating or whatever, those things can be great self-care pieces. I love going to the gym, and I definitely feel it. If I'm not moving my body, I can feel the difference. But when I choose to be fit, or when I choose to eat good foods, it's coming from a motivation of, that's how my body feels best. That's how I fuel this awesome vehicle, right? That helps me feel and helps me move and does these amazing, it takes me through life, right? Which is totally different than seeing my body as an object that I need to make, mold into a certain standard that society says that I need to be. So I love that point of not coming from a place of self-judgment, but full acceptance of who you are, full acceptance of your body, your even your behaviors. You cannot hate yourself to improvement. It doesn't work that way. You only end up digging yourself a deeper hole.
Makes your why stronger. So if I'm choosing to go to the gym because I know I feel better, it's so much stronger and longer lasting. And a phrase that I like to say is flourish to nourish. If I want to flourish, I need to nourish myself. And that's that thriving, wonderful, like plant growing, since we're talking about spring. If I want my plants to grow and flourish and be beautiful and blossom, I need to put some fertilizer in there and do that. One of my friends I talked to recently was talking about a particular medication that she hadn't been taking, and the doctor said something like, well, would you not feed your kids? And she's like, well, no, I would feed my kids. While taking the medications and doing the exercise and doing all those things are things that are good for us to do for ourselves. We just sometimes put ourselves last on the list. It goes back to sometimes being that good girl. Oh,
the good girl.
The good girl would put her family first. I remember that one. Family first, which is, it's not a bad statement. And put yourself first, and then you can still put your family in there, so that you're coming from that space of abundance, right? Your abundance and wanting to and just going, of course my family's first here because I'm full.
Right, and I think that's such a key thing that keeps people stuck, women especially stuck, because we have been really deeply programmed to think that caring for ourselves first puts our family at a disadvantage, which, a huge heart cry for me, just, probably the biggest passion for me is the message, what honors you honors everyone. Because when I'm coming from a place of lack, when I'm coming from a place of deprivation or exhaustion, I don't have anything to give, or at least anything of value to give. I'm coming from resentment. I'm coming from nothing, having nothing. So when I'm actually doing what honors me, I have so much more to give. And when I'm thriving and I'm turned on and I love life, love isn't an effort. It just oozes out of me, right? It isn't even something that I have to try to do. Generosity and love is just second nature. And so I think we really do have to challenge this belief that, family first sounds great, but often the way that's played out for so many women is family first, me last. And that will never work well. You can keep doing that, and you can do that with, your self-righteousness and be on your high horse. But in reality, I lived that life for a lot of years. And what I found was that it really depleted me. And I was so broken by the end of that. I was on antidepressants. I was, suicidal. I didn't see value in life anymore. I was simply living out of obligation. That was it. That was my number one value, was obligation. And so that is the trajectory that value will lead you. So
to more resentment too. The obligation leads me to resentment because I did not choose that. When I choose a no, it's solid. And me, waffling back and forth, me making a solid decision, one, keeps the other person from waffling, and two, it allows me to be strong in that and know that I did that out of love. And back to what honors me, honors you, is that I'm making that choice to say, I trust, back to our trust the divine will take care of that person and give them exactly the right person who is able to do the yes. And that I'm confident in my no, because I know that that's what's the best choice for me.
Yeah, and I like that perspective too, is often when I think I'm prioritizing everybody else and I'm loving everyone else, often I'm robbing them of their opportunities to really operate in their own authority and take care of themselves. Because, of course it's easier to default and let somebody else take care of you, right? But then it starts this really weird entitlement game where they start to feel that it's your job to take care of them, and it's your job to manage their emotions and their physical needs. And I really believe it's far more honoring for them to learn how to do that themselves. And, especially when we're talking about children, there's basic needs for children, and there is a point where they're learning to take care of those needs themselves. And because of this judgment that I see many women, carrying this huge burden that they have to take care of their children to this degree that they're like excessively managing all of their emotions and needs and desires, that child never learns to do that for themselves.
And they grow up not equipped to take care of themselves.
And feeling that it's somebody else's job to do it for them. So, we actually provide a huge disservice to others when we do that. Not only children, but partners. That's what I lived I lived with two different partners where I was managing their emotional health and their physical health, and all that really did was to create a lot of frustration towards me, because I wasn't really able to, no one's able to create happiness for another human being. And so there was resentment from them and resentment from me, because it's like, oh, I'm so tired because I'm not, I just keep bending over backwards and keep giving and giving and giving, and it's never enough, and that's a horrible feeling. And then from the other side, they're like, well, why can't you make me happy, right? You're telling me, you're acting like you can make me happy, but you're not making me happy, so it's this like both sides are kind of in anguish, and it's just not helpful or honoring at all. And so before you know it, that really, cute little phrase, family first, becomes not such a pretty phase.
Well, even taking it outside of the family for those entrepreneurs and people doing group projects, it is okay to say no in those situations too. And because a lot of times people will come up and ask you to do things, and you're either working on your own things, or let's say it's a group project, and they think that you're the only one that can do it, because I've had that too. You're the only one that can do it. And that goes back to trusting that the divine will bring them the right person. It's hard to let go of that guilt sometimes because we are so conditioned. But if we can put our trust that that person either they have enough resources, they just may not have been digging hard enough, or seeing bigger possibilities. I mean, there's always more possibilities. And when I excuse myself, it allows them to go look for other possibilities, or allows that perfect person to drop in. And back to where you were talking about the robbing, I could be robbing someone of a really generous position where they got to flourish, and who knows, maybe that brought them to the next level too. So I just wanted to bring it even past the family, because it happens a lot in all our relationships, where we have to say a no.
Yep.
And choose ourselves first.
Yeah, and honestly, when I look at my behavior in that aspect, I was really playing God, right?
Oh.
Thinking I know best.
Yeah.
I know best for this person, and I'm taking responsibility for caring for them because I know best. And how often I didn't know best. I was not their God, and over and over and over, I would step out of the way, and it would turn out in a totally beautiful way, but way different than I could have ever conceived. And I just thought,
because it was never yours to begin with.
Man, what a lesson. Get out of the way.
Get out of the way.
So the more I stay in my lane, and clean up my side of the street and let them worry about theirs, it really provides the space for the divine to work, instead of really trying to force and pretend like you're somebody's higher power.
Or pretend that you're happy and that you like doing what you're doing when you really wanted it to be a no.
Yeah.
That back to the resentment.
Yeah, allowing things to be the way they are instead of trying to manipulate them and force them to be something different. That has been, a huge lesson for me as well.
Me too.
I'd love to talk a little bit about specifically what self-care is.
Yay, that's where I'm ready for.
Because we often talk about self-care like, it's going to get your hair done, and go to the spa and get a massage, and those are beautiful, wonderful things, and they are part of self-care. But I'd like to expand that a little bit more. So specifically for me, if I didn't share any other self-care other than this one piece, to me, self-care would be choosing yourself. That's the most demanding and courageous thing you'll ever be called to do, is choose yourself. Because what happens is you deal with all the voices, right? The good girl voice is who I call her. And you'll deal with the outside voices as well. And for me, that good girl voice says, oh gosh, you choose you, then they're going to think you're selfish. They're going to think you're inconsiderate. They're going to think you're rude. You're such a snob. God, these are the voices that come up for me in my own head and are often mirrored in other people. These are all of the ways that I compromise, and I think, oh, it's not really that big of a deal. I don't need rest that bad. I can go tolerate that party for a half an hour. These are the ways that I betray myself, right? I make it seem not that bad. I minimize it. I dismiss it. And before I know it, I'm resentful and I am really exhausted, because those were choices that were not in alignment with my self-care. Those were not things that chose me. When my intuition says you're tired, or you're really craving some time by yourself, or, that's really a no for you. No, you're not really okay with giving that resource or giving that time. When I honor that, it's easy to dismiss it and say it's not a big deal to betray myself. It's really easy to do that. It is really fucking hard to say, nope, I am going to make it a big deal, and I'm going to say no.
Because I'm a big deal.
Exactly, because I'm a big enough deal, and I'm worth it, and I'm entitled to my time, my presence, my attention, my body, my resources. I am entitled to those things before anybody else is. And there are very few things in this world that I'm entitled to, but I'm entitled to me. I'm entitled to me. And that's the biggest piece of self-care that I could possibly ever practice. And it is hard, and it is something that will probably never be easy for me. There are times where I just shake in my boots because I'm like, oh God, they're going to think that I'm, whatever. They're not going to like me. Yeah. But choosing to do it anyway, it is one of the bravest things that you'll ever do. In every little moment, it's the bravest thing you'll ever do. So that's my big piece for self-care. And I can certainly expand that to other things, but Marie, I want to hear what your thoughts are about self-care.
I think that one's brilliant, and it goes back to flourishing. Then I can flourish, and I can be in my purpose and those things I was created to be, because I'm not saying yes to things that aren't driving me towards that. So that making that choice also allows me to make other choices a lot easier. So I'm able to, because I know what my yes is and what my why is, it's easier, and then I stay on the path. Otherwise, which our path is crooked anyway, but it's really wonky and shaky. And then the other thing is to know that self-care is bigger than the physical part, like the nails and the back. I mean, it's mental health, it's professional health. Like, how are you doing boundaries in your job? It's also emotional health. So that one choice for me covers all these domains, but sometimes people don't know that there's more than one domain. And so just bringing yourself outside of it and asking yourself the questions: how do I feel emotionally? How will I get that emotional feeling of flourish? How do I get that? How do I feel like I'm flourishing in my job? What are the yeses that are keeping me from doing that as effectively and efficiently as I can? So I just wanted to expand the conversation to that it's broader than just some of those little smaller things.
Yeah, and I'd really like to distinguish the difference too between, I think that there are some very feminine forms of self-care and there are masculine forms of self-care, and we're both, right? We have both, and we put a lot of emphasis on the feminine self-care. Take a bath, light candles, burn incense, have a spa day. These are all things I love, right? Don't get me wrong, I love all these things, and
because we're girly girls too.
Yeah. Well, and I think even men, benefit.
Oh yeah.
We all benefit from the feminine aspects of self-care. Sure. And there's masculine elements of self-care, which for me are like, challenging my body, doing something at the gym that really makes me feel powerful. Music can be really empowering and self-care. When I listen to upbeat music, that really makes me feel like, yeah, I got this, or, taking a leadership position, something that puts you in charge of other people, that can be self-care. That can be massively empowering. There's a lot of ways that, that fire, if you think about what turns your fire on, those are the masculine self-care things. The feminine things are the mellowing things and the things that really get you centered.
And dancing and
yeah, but dancing can also be a very
masculine. I've done some of those like tribal kind of dances where you stomp. Those are really cool. Ooh, I got chills even. Like you stomp and you get your fire going and you get your fierceness going. So of course,
yeah. And I think that there's some real boss music that can
yeah.
really like just get you feeling sassy. And so those types of self-care are just as important as the calm and really, what's the word I'm looking for? Like there are two different types of nourishment, and they're both profoundly important, and you're going to feel like you're missing out if you're only doing one.
We want to be balanced? We want to be balanced?
Right? Yeah. The masculine and the feminine are so important. And not just in your relationships, but in you. So I know that masculine self-care has been so profound to me. The things that light my fire are just as important as, and I regularly, I light incense. We have incense going now. I light candles. I play soft music. I love massages. I get my hair done. Like, yes, those things are important. Choosing yourself is the number one bravest thing, right? And there's a whole other element of masculine self-care as well. That. So many ways to nourish yourself. Accomplishing a goal. Setting goals.
We can't forget
dreaming.
That.
Yeah, those are self-care. And if you're only doing the surface level things, if you're only, getting the massage or getting your hair done, you're not going to feel fulfilled. And you're really probably not even going to feel rested on a deep level when you're done with those things, because there's a whole other level, a whole other realm of self-care that you're not even touching with those things. So, remember, choosing yourself, being loyal to yourself.
We were going to talk about that, loyalty to ourselves versus others, how sometimes we choose loyalty to others over ourselves. And I know we've covered that before, but I want to move back to that. Yeah,
and that's really, like what I was talking about before, in choosing yourself. And it could be the things that, often it's the things we think are really small. I don't really want to go to that dinner tonight, but I'll go tolerate it for, a half an hour. That's being more loyal to someone else, that friend that invited you that you don't want to offend, or whatever that other person is. You're being more loyal to them than you are to yourself. And your desires, that's what I wanted to say. Yeah, your desires are important. They're really important. And we often will only practice following our desires or acknowledging our desires if we can justify them with some other obligation or responsibility. Knock that shit off, because your desires are worthy of being fulfilled, whether they are tied to an obligation or not. So it's really time that we start to acknowledge that we were built with our desires for a reason, and that's a huge part of self-care, right? What do you want? What do you want? That's really valid. That's really important. And it's your direction. It's the way that the divine speaks to you in what your intuition, where your intuition is leading you. My work, my passion is also my desire, right? Your desire is often the very same thing as your life purpose and your calling, right? So we get to stop making our desires bad and wrong.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with your desires. They're beautiful.
We were created with desire for a reason. So it can be an indicator. Desiring are indicators that where to go, where to move, how to be.
And there's nothing wrong with being loyal to yourself and those desires. And again, going back to what we said earlier, when you honor yourself, you honor everyone. When you follow those desires and those passions, what I have found is, I've lived two very different lives, right? In one life, I bent over backwards. I sacrificed all the time. I lived in deprivation, and I did everything that was responsible and that I felt obligated to do, and I prioritized helping everyone else, and I was the savior and the martyr for everyone. That was one lifestyle. And I can say today, having being outrageous enough to follow my own desires and my own passions and to say, no, I'm actually not going to choose to rescue you today. I'm going to do me today. When I've lived in that way, and I've lived tapped in, turned on, thriving, happy, fulfilled, and in my passion, I help far more people than I ever did when I was sacrificing and really pretty miserable and exhausted all the time. There's two different life paths, and when you do follow your passion, you will be judged for it, and you will be told you're selfish and outrageous and unrealistic and all these things. You will be told those things, but you'll serve and you'll help a much greater number of people.
I'm so glad you said that, because the word service has so many, it is wrapped, the word service is wrapped in some of those old stigmas, and because we believe when we're serving, it's selfless, and that we're not important in that service. And just as Jillian was talking about, it's when I'm alive that I can serve more people. I just wanted to unravel the word service, because we do get tangled up. And sometimes the people that I work with get tangled up on that too, is I want people to, I didn't mean it like that, but it's so much better when we're coming from that place of so much fullness and aliveness, and then we're serving from the heart rather than tolerating, because that dinner we're talking about, we use that word tolerate, and it's just an icky word. Do you want people to just put up with you, or do you want people to be on fire and lit up by you? So you're lighting other people's fires when you're coming from that place of, we're both kind of getting worked up. I'm lighting fires, right? I am lighting fires. There's a better concept than going, yeah, they're tolerating me because I'm, depleted.
Yeah, there's this whole idea of like settling and tolerating. I don't want people in my space that I'm not truly serving and helping, and if they're not a match, they're not a match, and that's okay. I'm not trying anymore to mold myself into, accommodating everybody's needs and trying to get everybody to like me. I don't care. Like, I'm just going to be in my passion and in my service, in my calling, and whoever's meant to be there will stay there. I don't want someone in my space that's just settling. I don't want someone that's there just tolerating what I have to say. If you're not a match,
that's no fun.
Go, get out of here. There's no judgment. I don't care.
Then we're both kind of wrangling through it.
Right, but I'm not going to do the same thing to someone else, right? Because they don't deserve that. So if I'm not feeling that I'm a match for a person or an event or, saying yes to something, then it is most honoring for me and most honest for me to say, no, thank you. And so I think we get to come to this place of being just honest and neutral. It's not like I don't like you, so I'm not coming. It's I'm just not feeling this right now. Sure. And there's no judgment towards that either way. And there's no judgment towards if you don't feel like you're meant to be in my space. That's okay. It's all allowed and permissible, and we feel free when we let people off the hook and say, it's no big deal. You're not obligated to be here with me. And I don't want relationships based on obligation.
Me either.
I don't want relationships where you're putting up with me, and vice versa. So I think that, that's a huge piece of not only self-care, but also loving other people. It's an act of self-care, and it's an act of love towards other people.
And we're living life. It's more of a living life than, putting up with life.
Absolutely.
I'm trudging through it.
Yeah. Well, we've killed it today.
Yeah.
Deanna, thank you for being here today.
Hi, Deanna.
I appreciate the love. As always, I love it when you guys engage with us. If you have any questions, we always would love for you to post those in the group or email us with your questions or comments or challenges for us. But thank you so much for being here with us today. Marie, do you have any final thoughts as we wrap up?
I think we covered them all.
It was juicy.
It was very juicy. Just going back to what we really want you to take away from this, and that is, what honors you honors everyone. That's our mantra, really. And if we just come from that place that it's a mutual respect and a mutual compassion and love, then yeah. How about you?
No, I think the most important thing that we got to voice today was choosing yourself, and that's not selfish and it's not unloving to anyone. That's the biggest piece that helped me so much. I'd also like to just put a plug in for my class on the end of the month. If this is a topic that resonates for you, I'm doing a short workshop called Choose You Mom.
Oh, cool.
So if this is a topic that you want to delve deeper, specifically as a mom, as a mother, it can be particularly challenging for moms because they feel like I'm responsible to take care of these little children, and of course they come first, right? So we're going to delve into that topic of motherhood. So if you're interested, I'll be posting more information both on my profile and in the Unapologetic group.
And I have a stress relief class, so if you're feeling overwhelmed, we have some fun things. So that does take care of that one self-care part that maybe you're feeling overwhelmed, and we'll work on strategies, and we got some play involved, and that's the first weekend in April, and so it's not the whole weekend, it's a few hours on a Saturday, but that would be fun.
Yeah, you always have some fun, playful things happening.
I like play.
I know. It's amazing. All right.
How can they find us?
Oh, yeah. Well, you can email us if you have any questions. You can email me at defytheaverage@gmail.com or
Marie at mariesgold.com.
And you can also find any of our information on our websites. I am at jillianaurora.com.
And mariesgold.com.
Alrighty. With that, we'll go ahead and close up for the week. Of course, I didn't pull up the topic. Hang on just a minute. I would love to share that topic with you.
I should know it because I almost posted it. Desires, something about desires.
Oh,
78.
yay. That's going to be so perfect.
Since we dabbled with it today.
We touched on that just a bit, but I'm excited to get into that more. That's one of my favorites. Really, really important because we've been so conditioned to judge our desires. Yeah, embracing pleasure and desire. Yes. Pleasure and desire.
Both up our alleys. Yeah. That'll be fun.
Yeah. So join us next week. You won't want to miss that juicy discussion. So I hope you all have a fantastic next week, and we will see you all again next Thursday morning. Bye-bye, everyone.